Hi, I'm Jack Reichwein, and welcome to Coors Crash GT History. Today we'll be talking about the Mataquan people, a culture known for their numerous technological advancements and intricate culture. The Mataquan people died in the most ironic way physically possible. They ran out of the one thing they worship most. It would be kind of like the United States running out of French fries and going extinct, which sounds like a pretty healthy way to go. So, the Mataquan people, Mataquan meaning Mother Ocean in their native language, were a society built off of the coast of present-day Peru and South America. They were a ritualistic society, and they recorded data extremely sensitively. One thing they recorded was time. They used the Mataquan calendar, as now called by historians, to describe lunar cycles, which they used for rituals and, like previously stated, telling time. Another thing that they recorded in the same cave was their creation story, dubbed the Mataquan origin story. It would be a shame to describe this great story without visuals, so let's go to the pop bubble. In the beginning, there was the Great Spirit, who sat isolated in nothingness for eternities, where he became lonely. To keep him company, the Great Spirit created two children, the water goddess, Aquadia, the earth god, Teridius. Over time, the two children became great friends and eventually lovers. They danced through eternity, bringing joy to Great Spirit's heart, replacing his loneliness with a warmth that he had never felt before. The lovers grew older, and together they brought forth offspring of their own, the first humans. For a time all was well, and the family lived in peace. Until one day, when the Great Spirit decided to create a third child, Amestius, the god of the sky. Amestius, having been created long after Aquadia and Teridius, felt quite alone and longed for the life his siblings had. He grew lonely and depressed. Out of the clouds and the stars, Amestius created children of his own, who replaced the void in his life with pride. The children of Amestius longed to befriend the children of Teridius and Aquadia, but the feeling was not mutual. The first humans were unwilling to make peace with their cousins, and soon a war broke out between the families. For a long time they fought and battled, and the Great Spirit looked on sadly. His grandchildren were destroying each other, and their parents neglected to interfere. Disappointed with the gods, the Great Spirit sent down a warning, promising consequences if they allowed the fighting to continue. Frightened by the power of their father, Aquadia, Teridius, and Amestius conjured up a terrible storm, bringing death and destruction upon the humans. For a time, the fighting ceased, and the Great Spirit was sated. But after the floods dried up, the humans continued to brawl. This made the Great Spirit angry. To punish them for their disobedient children, the Great Spirit condemned the gods to an eternal prison. Amestius was destined to become a cascading sky, forever watching the land and seas. His beautiful daughter, Aquadia, became a peaceful sea, and his son, Teridius, became the solid ground. The children of Aquadia and Teridius were separated by a mighty mountain, with the children of the cloud and the star lost across the sea. They could no longer properly communicate with each other, and as a final judgment, a heavy curse was placed upon all the descendants of Aquadia, Teridius, and Amestius, which brought hunger and disease across the globe. Not willing to forget the generosity of the gods, the humans continued to have a deep respect for nature and thank the earth, sky, and sea for every good thing brought to them by their plant and animal brethren. Thanks, Pop Bubble. One question that stories like this bring to the table is, why do we as humans make this creation story? What is it about humanity that makes us create answers when there are previously none? These people had a vast but calm sea to one side, and an impenetrable mountain range to the other, and a burning sun up above. All they knew was what they saw, and even today we have to make assumptions about, well, everything. We can only know for certain what we see. That's why their religion is so important, because they didn't have definity of anything, and the Mataquan people only had themselves to grow and live. People hold on to any answers they can find and preach it to anyone who will listen, creating a complex structure of belief. As you can see, that story defined their culture in many ways. But how did they live based on that story? Well, there are two main villages involved with the island. Both of them were different sects of the religion and were prone to different ideals, one focusing on the earth god and the other focusing on the water goddess. These beliefs caused separation between these two people, along with different ways of life for both of them. The specific village we were focused on, the most important, was the water village, or what I like to call the hydration population. So basically, there was a head elder whose job was to guide his people because he was the oldest and closest in age to their parent gods. A greatly more symbolic job was to fetch the drinking water from the Aqua Dea monument. This ultimately caused their downfall when the elder was crushed during a cave-in. The following hardship would have easily been avoided if the elder's firstborn was old enough to take part in the water-gathering ritual and know where the water came from, but the son of the elder was not believed to be more than 5 years old and thus did not know the location of the drinking water. This tragic loss of their head elder plagued dehydration all throughout Mautakwa and consequently forced their people to fight for the remaining water sources and caused lots of death. In the end, many Mautakwan's died trying to cross the ocean in order to reach drinkable water, while the rest stayed behind and died of dehydration. Paintings on fallen rocks around the area suggest that they believed this was a reckoning, much like the Abrahamic flood, and this was brought about by the water god herself as punishment for fighting between tribes. And so ends the tale of the Mautakwan people in the seas of Peru. Oh, it's time for the open litter. Okay, what's in the secret compartment? Oh, it's my mic. You see, these
That's
mics
not it.
are... Oh, it's not it?
No, the letter's under your chair.
Thank you. Alright. Dear Mautakwan people, maybe next time you start an island civilization with only one drinkable water source, tell this guy you know where it is. Agriculture was a big part of Mautakwan nutrition, mainly because they viewed animals more as pets and friends than as a source of sustenance. This, however, was not the case for fish, which was also a big part of their daily diet, which led to the development and eventual mastering of fishing, along with the use of small knives and spearfishing, which were the main tactics of getting food. We have a couple artifacts here to show that are models of actual wreckage found on the island of Mautakwa. One of these artifacts is a spearhead. Notice how small it is. The water tribe of the Mautakwan's didn't hunt animals, as they believed their food should have come from the water. So, they made smaller knives and spears for fishing. This was washed up on the beaches of Peru, so it's safe to say they threw these pretty far into the water and didn't make too hard of an effort to retrieve them. As for cooking, we found little fire pits that had remnants of bowls and pans made from rock that they used for mass cooking of fish. Food was a great issue on the island, so these inventions of bowls and pans were a great advancement for the society, which made mass feeding easily accomplished. The next artifact we have is this giant rock. This is a rock from the island itself that was retrieved from the cave in which the creation story was painted on. As you can see, there is a flat area that they carved out to paint on. We believe that they crushed up flowers and finger painted the creation story, which clearly shows that they valued information and history to a great extent, seeing as this painting alone must have taken years on years of constant work. The last couple artifacts we have for you today are these. First off, we have a cape. This is a model of the ceremonial cape that the head elder used to perform rituals and grab water for the civilization. He used these to show to his people that he had a ceremonial right from the gods to sacrifice. These sacrifices, such as burial and drowning, were used as a way to appease the gods. They were scared that the gods would drown them again for more fighting between the tribes. He also wore the cape to complete the ceremonial task of getting water for his tribe. And one of the things he used was a bucket. Now obviously this isn't the actual bucket he used. That's been lost for a very long time and historians can't find it. However, we do believe that it was woven and it probably had some sort of patching on it that showed that it was in fact a ceremonial bucket. One thing that the Mautakwa saw highly of was architecture. They only had one major accomplishment within the village, but that was for a purpose as well. They built a temple completely out of stone. They used the rock from the cave as they thought the stone was holy, and they poured some of the fresh water on the very top to bless it. That was the only structurally sound area of the village, and the rest were grass teepees. The elder and his son were the only people permitted to live in the temple of Aqua Dea, and the rituals were the only thing carried out there. Morbidly, the drownings for sacrifice were committed on the pool on top of the temple. The thing about this culture is that they're a great example of a completely ideal-driven society. They didn't have laws, and they didn't have jail, they just dealt with themselves according to the morals given to them from their god. Did they actually have a god? Who knows? But the important thing is that they acted as if they did, and they built a working society out of it. That is easily something to try and achieve in our societies today. Like the Mautakwan's, I'm sure many people would like to stop crime off of personal morals, not because it's illegal. The people of Mautakwa were nice to each other, and as a society, we should be too. And that's what it means to live in a cultured society. This has been Course Crash. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.